massive fan of 1975 and love everything that they're involved with. And so, like, really excited, obviously, that you've maybe taken a little bit of that and put it in your own way, and that's awesome. So yeah. And the EP, you can't tell us when it's coming out, or
not at the minute, unfortunately, because
but it's definitely finished.
Oh no, that's the thing. I'm about halfway through tracking it.
Okay.
So I've only really got. I'm kind of just remaking just recreating the demos we had, and it's just taken a long time because I don't have any management or label or anything.
Yeah.
So everything kind of, all of the organising part, it all stems from me, and I'm kind of relying on people who are actually really busy and who they're busy musicians, but then they've got families and stuff like that. So it's hard to kind of pin them down.
It's a long process.
Yeah, it takes a long time, but it will be out within the foreseeable. I don't know yet.
Is all the material like sorted out? Is it?
That's the thing. It's all written. It's just a case of tracking it and recording it.
Okay.
Which just takes a long time.
If you could sum up like the EP or like what kind of it involved, like how would you explain it to people?
So stylistically.
Stylistically, exactly.
Well, the basic, like the core of the sound is just from a live band, and a lot of that's influenced by kind of old, kind of pop and R&B and soul, which I know is still a very broad spectrum of music.
Yeah, indeed.
But I really, even though I'm a saxophone player, obviously I listen to a lot of jazz music, and that influences me just as much as anything else. But I love amazing pop music, so people like Sting and the Police, and Bruce Hornsby in the Range, and Michael McDonald, and those kind of blue-eyed soul kind of nice as well. And so I suppose the core of the sound is it's that kind of thing, but it's embellished with a lot of electronics and ambient music, and like there's a guy that we listen to a lot on tour, a guy called John Hopkins.
And
he's amazing at kind of manipulating electronic sounds and orchestrating it in a very, very musical way. And so there's a little bit of an influence of that kind of thing.
Okay, cool. I mean, John Hopkins is awesome. Open Eye Signal. It's like one of my favourite songs. He's awesome.
He's cool.
But that's similar in the same vein of 1975 then? Is that?
In some respects. I think as well, stylistically they're still pretty broad.
Massively.
And so if you were to be influenced by them, you would still be quite open stylistically.
And so you've narrowed it down, niched it.
I don't know. Who knows?
From what we heard when we listened to it, it definitely sounded like you'd taken a particular, like that ambience definitely is more the present. I think that was.
There are a lot of like new artists nowadays, like describing their music and not like putting it to a certain genre. Like we were talking like Bipolar Sunshine, he was saying that he describes his genre as grey kind of thing. And so like a lot of people now just with broad like influences, they don't want to kind of narrow their music to like certain things as well.
With it being instrumental as well, the sentiment isn't as direct as say a song where you have lyrics that really dictate the vibe or feel or something.
Exactly.
And so it's very open and it's very interpretive, and so there are obvious stylistic things that have influenced me, but then it's so hard to see, and because I've written it as well, it's hard to see it with retrospect, so I don't really someone could kind of hear or feel something completely different to what I do from having played it already.
That's true. Well, it's always good to keep it open because then it can affect as many people. That's great. But considering that it's instrumental, are you like, is it all coming from you, or are you going to get like people to feature, or is it just?
It's a very. So I'm kind of really happy with how it worked out. None of it was kind of forced or contrived. So basically, the people that have played in it, there's like a pool of musicians from kind of Leeds, where I used to live. I lived there for 6 years and played music there. And then there's a circle of guys up here in Newcastle as well. So the kind of two have been merged to play on this. And so including me, there's 18 people that have contributed to the music so far.
Wow.
And so again, like the drummer, bassist, one of the guitarists, and the 2 keys players, they're kind of the same. Then there's featured soloists on it, and there's a guitar player I used to live with him in Leeds. He's called George Solness. He's one of the most amazing guitar guitarists I've ever played with. And he now lives in Cyprus, so he's the only exception. But it's cool. I'm in terms of the people that are involved, I'm really happy with how it's unfolded.
Is it like quite organic and like natural?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And
Yeah.
they're all kind of very good friends of mine before anything else, and so with that in mind, it was it's a nice basis to kind of make music.
That's cool.
You said you're at Leeds uni. Did you ever consider, maybe because you're from Newcastle, did you ever consider going to Newcastle uni for music? Was it always like Leeds was your first option?
Yeah, I went to Leeds College of Music, which is separate to the uni, and I was lucky that when I was at school, when I was a lot younger, I had quite a few saxophone players that were 2 or 3 years older than me that were playing in the same kind of youth bands and stuff, and so I kind of tried to follow a similar path to them because I really admired what they were doing. And so a couple of people that I knew from school went to Leeds College of Music, did the jazz course that I went on to do. And so I didn't actually apply, I can remember I think I applied to Middlesex Uni, and then I didn't even get a response. So I just went into my audition at Leeds, and that's the only place I really wanted to go. So,
that's great, yeah.
Is that where extracurricular?
Yeah, in some respects that was, there was people that were at Leeds College of Music, then guys that lived in Huddersfield as well.
Okay.
And it's cool because Huddersfield it's a tiny town, but I think that kind of works in its favour as well because it's such a close-knit community that if you do something creative, the chances are you're going to collaborate with whoever. And I'm not just saying this because I played in a band there, but it really Huddersfield shouldn't be overlooked. It is an amazing little town, and again, some of the musicians there are some of the best I'll get to play with. And
that's awesome.
So yeah, extracurricular was kind of formed between people. It was initially like a collective, and then it kind of got more refined into a band, and then opened up a little bit. But they were Leeds and Huddersfield guys.
Nice, that's cool. Just with the EP and like its particular sound, obviously when you're making it, do you have an idea of where it could be played, like the scenes that it would be played in, or like a type of situation, or is it completely open?
I think initially it's pretty open. I'd like to say that I have like a really just like kind of set aim with writing, but it's never like that. Because some of the music was written a year and a half ago, some of it was written earlier this year. And, but then because last year I was travelling a lot, so a lot of it was kind of inspired by either the places I was in, and then like one of the tune Flight, and it has nothing to do with the EP name and the song title has nothing to do with being on a plane or anything like that. But I wrote that tune on a flight from London to Montreal, and it was just before like a 2-month North American tour. So I was really, really excited, and I couldn't wait to get going, and couldn't wait to see all these places and play these shows. And then, so that was a huge inspiration. That kind of sums up the kind of thing that really inspired me to make this EP, which is all that traveling and touring.
How did you find touring? Because it must be like quite a hard process, kind of going back and forth and not staying in one place, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think for me it still is now a new thing. Because before last year I hadn't really toured at all. I'd just done little things within the UK, and so it was kind of a shock to the system. Just kind of trying to keep up with that schedule, but then even then it was so exciting for me that it was perfectly worth not sleeping and not really eating very well for the sake of playing these amazing shows all over.
Did you have a favourite like place? Like, is it America or in there?
I think touring North America is a big thing, especially if you're English. If you're an English musician or band, there's something very cinematic about going out and doing it. It's quite a romanticised thing. And so I love going over there. There's a lot of my favourite cities are across there. But then Asia's obviously incredible.
I've never heard much about Asia.
For the touring as well, music.
For you guys, was it massive?
Yeah, it's crazy. For the 1975, they've got a huge fan base in the Philippines. We played an arena show in Manila, which was just absolutely crazy. And then Japan's got it's an amazing place to play. They're very kind of very attentive, very polite crowds. They really appreciate what's going on. They make a lot of noise when they're supposed to, but then in between songs they'll just chill and and they all kind of look after each other in the
interesting.
crowd, whereas
Yeah.
in like a British festival like Tina Park or something, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah,
pushed
that's
around.
true. When we were talking about this with some, we met the Wombats, and they said, you know, when you go to London, particularly, London are like, yeah, bring it.
Mhm.
Like, because their crowd, they're like, we're here to be entertained, you guys are going to do a job.
Yeah.
Whereas some crowds are just like, man, we just love what you do, man. Let's just enjoy being here. I think, like, you guys obviously played London.
Yeah, so the last night I did was at Alexandra Palace. We played a couple of nights there, and that was amazing. I think that was their biggest headline show in the UK, and it was it's incredible. Those kind of venues where it's borderline arena, but these kind of big sort of theatre shows have got amazing atmosphere, and because there's still an intimacy there, so you still really feel engaged with the crowd, and so yeah, those shows were really amazing.
A little bit about the saxophone as like an instrument. I feel we were talking about this yesterday. Like, it's getting like massive love. I feel like at the moment across music,
Especially like last a month last year.
yeah, because like house and stuff is coming back, and then like,
Yeah.
people are putting more jazz stuff into that. Like, is that something like? How long have you played the saxophone for? And like, is it something that you've gone, oh my god, the market is like planning for this? I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really consciously thought about it
Yeah.
in that regard, but I've been playing saxophone since I was 10.
Yeah.
It's like 16 years. So, and then especially when you start playing an instrument at that age, you
Don't think about
yeah,
it.
you know,
You just
making
love
conscious
it.
decisions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just thought it was cool, and I played piano a bit before then.
Yeah.
But then I'm very fortunate that there seems to be sort of a market or a niche thing at a time when I'm in my early to mid 20s and I start playing professionally. It's good that there is a little bit more hype and excitement about the instrument. And the thing is, I'm not too, I know I don't really need to say this at all, but I'm not too into the kind of house thing.
Yeah.
And so even though it's still, as an instrument in popular music, it's getting a little bit more kind of, it's like a throwback thing to the 80s, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because saxophone solos were just as popular as guitar solos. and things.
Yeah.
But there's still only really a handful of people, maybe even just 2 or 3 saxophone players that I genuinely love listening to who play in pop context, because I think it can be so hit and miss. It can be like, you know, it can either sound incredible and so soulful and beautiful, or it can be so gross. And so there's so many, like even just like yesterday, I was out in a bar or whatever, and a tune would come on, and like and it's weird. People always do this as well. If a guitar solo comes on, it's not as if people look at Adam Hand and go, "Hey, guitar solo." No one ever does that. But any saxophone solo, regardless of where it is, everyone's like, "You play the saxophone, don't you?" So, you must like that. Yeah. Saxophone solo, and it's fine. It's just
It's quite patronising.
yeah, it's really patronising. So it is. It's funny how that only really seems to happen with saxophone and horn players.
Yeah. That's so funny you say that. When you started like playing saxophone and stuff, like I'm not sure, did you busk? I think
I've only busked a few times.
Yeah.
I have in Central Arcade.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and it's nice. I think if you find a nice environment to do it, it's always
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy it. It's nice if there's a good place to do it.
Yeah,
Touch wood, I've
because-
never had to.
That's true. Right,
But I like it. I think there was one time where I got a trainer from Leeds, and I kind of just missed one of the connecting trains through to where I was heading to. And so I thought, well, I'll just go on a bus for half an hour, 45 minutes, and just earn a couple of quid. That was a nice quick ride.
Covered the missing the chain.
But then
That's great.
But like, it's kind of fine. I think like in New York, you see buskers all over the place, and even in London as well, and some of them are like just these remarkable musicians, and you know that they're the type of people that bust through the day. They might even teach or whatever, who knows, they'll teach their instrument and then they'll go and play in the club or go to a jam night until 3, 4 in the morning. They'll get up and then
got crazy nights.
get a coffee, then go out and busk or something.
Yeah.
So I think there probably is kind of like a busking culture, I think, elsewhere. but I think it's very different in Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyone can busk in Newcastle as well, can't they? I don't think you have to have a permit, isn't that like the only city in
yeah,
Newcastle?
I think
Like,
only city in England, yeah.
something like that, I don't know.
But we always think, well, I always think here that busking is slowly like deteriorating a little bit because people are like picking up laptops, getting software, making like becoming like a DJ. And I think that market might be a bit saturated. So like, would you, had you like having busked and stuff, would you like encourage it to people?
Yeah.
Is it like, did it make you feel like more comfortable to be like just playing to whoever walked past and like, I don't know. And that's quite a like in-depth question.
No, I think I suppose it can be like a gateway to performing in front of the public, and it might help you get over any kind of barrier, like nerves, barrier things. But I think playing with people is more important than playing in front of people, maybe. So I think just finding like-minded musicians and getting together and just rehearsing, even if it's like a practice room at school or something, and then I'd say that's just as important as trying to get over playing in front of people. But I don't know. But then again, I don't know really how to answer the question. I haven't really busked enough. I don't really know. I don't really have a philosophy on busking.
Do you have any favourite kind of gig places to go to in Newcastle? Or are there any favourite places you like to go listen to live music?
Yeah, I like. But there's only and there's only really a handful of places to go. I think the Clooney T's nice.
Yeah, Clooney's really good.
And just Uxbridge in that area is pretty cool. If the kind of the vibe and weather's right, I love the Time Bar under that bridge, and it's funny. It sounds shit because it just doesn't bode well for a good sounding gig, but just the location and
Being by the road, like
it's lush, and then maybe the Bridge Hotel, that's got a nice room upstairs, and they have some good jazz gigs on there. I think. But then actually, for bigger shows, the City Hall, I think that's got amazing. Yeah, really amazing atmosphere, and again, it's one of these places where it has that intimacy, and but it's big enough for kind of bigger bands to come through and tour.
And if what advice would you give to kind of upcoming like musicians and like students now? Like we have so many students doing music here, and a lot of them want to like kind of develop their music and maybe like start releasing things. Like, do you have any advice for them, like kind of to get on their way? And
because I think there's so many shortcuts and kind of overnight success stories and that kind of thing, and I think they're not good for anyone really. And so I think it's much better to invest as much time as you can and just really take your time and kind of honing your own skills and craft and getting to know yourself a little bit and knowing what you really want to become, and because I think if you rush on it, you're just gonna you'll just bypass all the hard work that'll make everyone amazing. And also there's this saxophone player, one of the guys who he used to play in Sting's band. And he's a guy called Branford Marsalis, and he said that a lot of his students and a lot of younger musicians, they dwell on that idea of how they sound rather than the reality of what they are. And the way that they can, and sometimes people get away with it because the right people around them are all winking at the same time, and that stayed with me a lot, and so that kind of made me kind of face my own. I'd criticize myself a little bit more and dwell on my weaknesses to the extent where I wouldn't settle on, say, because it's especially in Newcastle, if you're a young saxophone player, there aren't really that many young musicians knocking around, and so generally speaking, you could play a gig and people will come and say, "Oh, that was great, well done." And so if that happens enough, you kind of think, "Oh yeah, I think I'm pretty good." Whereas if you did a gig in London and New York, you get people would wipe the floor with you. And so I think it's better to kind of put yourself in those situations where you're out of your comfort zone and you're playing with people that are better than you as well. I think if you're the worst person in the room, couldn't be any better for you. And so I think just take your time and.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, wise words.
Yeah.